Welcome to the Dune Over. I think we're episode 5 today. I am Dan, your host. And with me, we have the Spice Girls. Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart on Instagram, or Comics Will Break Your Heart on YouTube. Comic Books Will Break Your Heart on Instagram. I fucking hate how you can't get all your accounts into one.
I know. So if someone's out there with the Comics Will Break Your Heart on Instagram, and I will pay money.
How much money, Jen? We need a number.
I don't know. I feel ridiculous for being I don't know. I'd pay $100. Is that too much?
No.
At this point, I would pay for it. So
for your sanity,
yeah,
no, it's not too much.
Well, you own the website now, so
I do own the website. Thank you. I haven't done anything with it, but website coming soon. Pew pew.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
for only $2 a month, you can be a webmaster. Also joining us is Sid at Cartoon Sid, and we have a new YouTube streamer, Cidnya at Cidnya Reads, who just did her TBR pile last night, and you have your Lost Souls book club this week.
No, it's sometime later this month.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when, but
and something is
soon.
Killing the Children this week.
Yes,
Got
I'm
it.
doing that with Jen at Life of a Geeky Mind. She really likes it a lot, and we talked about it, and we were like, we're doing it, and I'm so scared. I did my first stream yesterday. It was kind of scary, not gonna lie. I don't know how you do it.
You'll never stop being nervous.
Dan and Jen do it all the time by themselves. And I was like, they make it seem so easy, and then I was like,
Did you notice that we drink a lot?
Yeah. I feel like there's always every time I do a stream on my own, I feel like whether it's on Instagram or YouTube, I feel like there's always this moment when I hit live, and I'm looking into is anyone here?
That's my favorite part of Instagram lives is when they begin and
okay.
the person's like,
well, honestly, I thought Cidnya was cracking. She's like, I'm just going to wait here for people to come on. I'm going to kill time now. Thank you, Jen and Dan.
I started early, and I was just like, one person's here. I guess I was like, I'll put the clown nose on. Honk, honk.
I was just telling them before you got on, I was watching it blushing because you were saying too many nice things about me. I was like, no.
Hush, you deserve
some horrible news that came down today.
I heard.
Yeah.
I'm pretending you're not going to say what you're going to say. You're going to say it, and I'm just going to be like, no.
Well, there was 2 other pieces of horrible news that went along with it. AMC theaters saying they've lost $2.1 billion and may close down forever.
And now
I didn't hear about that. What the heck?
Regal Cinemas now, because of it, are shutting down all 243 U.S. theaters and UK.
Yep.
Oof.
So Regal is closing, and then if AMC closes, I know that there's a couple other theater chains, but
they're the 2 biggest.
Yeah. So
the Rona's taken lives left and right, not just human lives.
Mm-hmm. That's really, really crazy. But
so
I think
there's a third casualty of all this. Dune is moving to where Halloween Kills is coming out.
Yeah. October of 1 year. In 1 year. 360. Fuck that. I waited so long for this.
We started doing this show sequentially so that we could finish the whole book in time for us all to watch the movie.
I feel like we can get Children of Dune done.
Yeah, we could.
Totally.
I feel like if the market has already embraced the death of movie theaters at this particular time, and they're choosing to pull the plug, I don't understand why Hollywood won't just embrace releasing things digitally right now. It makes so much sense. People would pay a theater price for watching it at home.
I would pay $30 to watch it home.
Sure.
I would pay $60 if Sid was at my home too, watching it. Just an extra $30.
So that's another casualty of this whole situation. Is I was going to be here in December and January, so I could watch Dune with my friends, but I am sure I won't be here in a year.
So I think the industry is so silly for like, instead of like, this could have not happened if they would have just embraced like releasing videos to theaters and being able to like buy tickets to like from those movie theater chains to see it at home. Like it could have been so easy, and like they've done it with some movies so far. Like Mulan, it didn't do as much as they wanted to, obviously, because the box office isn't the same right now, but it still did really good for Disney Plus. So
Well, Tenet is what scared everybody because that was 200 million, and it had to do another 200 million, like in just making back what it spent in marketing, which is fucking ridiculous.
I just want to also make another point, because you said, like, this probably could have been avoided if they had done ticket sales that would have gone towards theaters. This probably also wouldn't have been a problem if, one, people had worn their fucking masks, two, didn't go out to dumb social events where, people are spreading this. If people had just been smart and sensible, we, one, could have had Halloween, and two, we could have had Dune. So fuck everyone who's not wearing a mask. I personally blame you.
I was planning on going to Portland for Halloween with the Comic Queen.
Yeah.
Hate it here.
Yeah. This is the worst timeline.
I mean, other countries have figured it out. It truly is like a Western problem.
Yeah.
We just became Black Mirror. We became a Black Mirror episode.
I mean, deeper within the mirror in which we reside, I suppose.
Individualistic culture has hindered society.
I was joking with Jen and messaging. I was like, so what's your reaction going to be the one day when you go to stream and all of a sudden Sid's sitting next to me at my little dining room table? And she was laughing like, what would you do if she was sitting at my table when we started?
I am homeless. I am taking applications to the highest bidder.
She has 2 cats. I have 1, a very needy cat, though.
Ooh. More cats is bonus points. More animals. Yeah.
Can I adopt Gambit as like a feral cat?
Our friend Gambit? No, you may not. Gambit has 2 cats.
It's true.
I'm putting him in the running, despite his lack of interest.
He's being thrown into this and he doesn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to tune in later being like, what?
He doesn't watch the show, so it doesn't matter.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, that was our fun of where's Sid gonna be.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my cat to come up here and say hello. Okay, he did it. He's up here.
Mine was meowing loudly as we began, and now he's away.
I'm a good roommate.
Yeah.
I have bigger than 400 square feet, an extra room with its own master bath.
See now.
Yeah, that's true. You'd have to either
punches are flying.
You either have to like the couch or you have to like to cuddle. Either way.
All these things are good.
Okay.
I'm on a couch currently, and it's a sectional. So what I'm doing to keep my life spicy and interesting is I'm sleeping on a different section of the sectional every night.
Mine is a queen size pull-out.
That's my exciting sleep.
It's a queen size pull-out.
Pull-out couches can go either way.
Yet after
lovely or terrible.
Yet after 7 a.m., I'm available for cuddling.
Thank you. Now I know your schedule. Good to know.
I'm kind of miserable after work, but I'm there.
Oh, good.
We love to
okay, so
misery loves company.
Everyone's like, where's Dune at?
You're saying you're going to be miserable at my house. I see how it is.
It's just the country, Dan. Don't take it personally.
I'm not. I'm joking. Okay, so these were some meaty chapters we started. We got introduced to a character that we have been waiting on, who, when the movie comes out eventually, will be a woman.
Yeah.
Of color.
Oh, right.
So knowing that, because that was the first chapter, was the introduction of Liette Kynes, and because in the movie, she's going to be a she, like female scientist, planetologist. I kept thinking, like, as I was reading, 'cause they were like talking about introducing them, and I was like, oh, little do they know it's going to be a woman, and they keep referring to him as him. But I'm like, oh wait, I'm reading the book, and it's still a him. It's still male in the book. So I hope that they do that. Like, I think that'd be interesting if they're like this Leah Kynes fella, like, and then joke's on you, people. Leah Kynes a woman.
I hope they do that too.
So, Sid, were you reading this while drinking your Elysian beer?
Well, no, I wasn't reading it while drinking it, but I am drinking one now.
It's very citrusy, that beer.
Cheers.
I don't think it is. I remember I used to have it in Cocoa Village all the time, and then I found it here, and I was like, comfort drink.
Publix sells it over here.
Do they?
Yeah.
Publix is the promised land, isn't it?
Yes.
That's one thing. Okay, so that's one thing I admit that Dan has over me is that
Right behind my house.
Publix.
Jumping
Publix.
right over my fence. The Publix is right there.
But I do have the world's or the country's largest
Jokes
new and
on
used
you,
bookstore.
you sexist assholes.
Yeah, jokes on you.
Precisely. It's
They're
so
the
funny.
joke. She's the punchline.
Oh,
It's so-
Stop it.
No,
Oh!
we're not even gonna go there, Dan. Oh my god.
Uncalled for.
Oh, Jen does it. It's fine. I do it. I see.
It's too soon.
So let me start out and beat you to the punch here. Erlun's little entry at the beginning of the chapter has some BDE.
Hold on. Let me find the source material. Of the first chapter we read?
Yes. Where she's talking about her father, the emperor.
Oh, right. When she sensed that
You were a little bit older.
Yeah, and she also said that she could sense that he had wished for Leto to be his son instead of like an adversary.
Yes.
I wish for a different relation to him, but the sentiment is the same.
The sentiment is the same, though.
I also think that Leah Kynes has a little bit of BDE.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's funny that you guys said that these were meaty chapters, but like I read them and I was like, I'm so upset we're not reading more. Like, absolutely, like loved everything about these chapters, and it's like prowess and its introduction of Kynes and the like mental gymnastics between characters was just
that last chapter with Jessica and Through Fear.
Oh, I was like, this is literally what I want. I love this. It's my favorite, and it went so fast
each
for
one
me.
of the chapters, there's so much just like tension.
I love it. I'm like, I could live in that tension forever.
I have a lot to say about that dinner scene where Paul suddenly like starts feeling his oats, where he's like, "Oh, so cannibals that feast on each other? Would you step on someone at a dinner table?" Yes. So our entrance to Dr. Kynes, planetologist, a person who has two masters, much like Duncan Idaho. He believes in the prophecy. He has a dream. He's kind of feeling out whether the promised one or not.
Yeah.
And he's definitely like withholding information. He's like, I have my like dreams and wishes, but do I want to tell them? Like, he's being very, very sneaky. I love it.
Also, he was questioned by Hawat for a while the night before.
Yeah.
I love how withholding he is. I love that it seems like this withholding of information is like to protect this dream, as if like if he spoke it, then it would be like obliterated into the sun. And I'm like, oh no, protect that dream.
Like a baby bird.
And how he observes Duke Leto, and he's like, he's wearing stuff, but he's not wearing it comfortably. So it shows he's an outsider.
Well, but that's natural. Like you wouldn't instinctively know how to put a still suit on unless you happen to be Paul Atreides.
Yeah, unless
It
you're
seems
like,
the proper way.
Yeah.
Seems right. I don't know. Feels right.
I feel like that this chapter where we get introduced to not just like Liet Kynes, but we get introduced to the spice making factory, spice harvesting factory. We get so much information about the Fremen, about Dune, Arrakis. We get information about Liet Kynes, and I really I think my favorite part about it was all of the information that we get about the Fremen, especially thinking about water rituals, and that's more into the 17th chapter, like some of the water rituals, but just how important water is, and how all of this is going to lead up into obviously a lot going on in the later part of the book, but it was good. I loved just learning about Dune.
That and how Kynes kind of commands the room as well when he's in there. He's got an aura, so to say. Even he'll give a hand gesture, and the Fremen behind him will snap and just knock off whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they say he's gone native. They recognize that. Eventually, they recognize that in him.
Yeah,
and we kind of get a little bit of a sandworm introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little.
Just a little snip.
It's a big boy.
It's a big boy.
They're chunky boys.
And we get Duke Leto saving 23 people, 26 people.
And getting the respect of, which I wondered though, is that him trying to win over Liet Kynes, or was it because he wanted to?
That's genuine.
I think that was genuine. That was him, because I remember that he was seemingly very bothered that other people were why didn't you save the spice? Who cares about the people? And he's like, we can replace the spice. What do you mean? And I don't know.
He was very bothered by the carrier being gone.
Yeah, I feel like it goes to show that sense of vulnerability that he doesn't want other people to know. So when people question him about it, he's not going to be I'm sensitive. So he has to just be ignore, don't ask me questions.
There's the Duke inner monologue while he's talking to Liet. How delicate this moment. If I refuse, it may offend him, and this could be a man whose value to me is beyond measure. Yet to let him inside my shield, touching my person when I know so little about him. He's scared of the bad touch.
Yeah, he's definitely he's trying to prove that he is not going to do the same Harkonnen bullshit. He's trying to prove that he genuinely cares, and that I think he's obviously he's playing the long game, and he's trying to win them over.
For sure. I mean, that's evident in it was Halleck that made the call to tell them that the Duke spotted the worm sign, and then for them to share. He is certainly trying to get in their good graces, but
he also calls them out for their propaganda of how good they're doing, that they're spreading around, and how good the Duke is.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, he doesn't seem like a man that's really down with capitalism.
Oh my gosh.
But
Wait, this is Lauren.
There's kind of a pet here. Everybody has cats but me.
I just mentioned in the comments, I feel like all of our cats should get on live stream and just have a little party.
Just with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to have a cat. Just bring yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wear the cat ears.
I've got the vibe already. But as I was saying, even so Liet, Kynes.
Okay.
I just said the F word. Are we allowed to cuss?
Yes,
Anyway.
we're not. I have it set for not for kids.
Sorry.
And that's what you have to do, Cidnya, when you...
Oh, I do every time. Every time. I don't age restrict it, but I say not for kids. So.
Yeah. You'd have that by default, so it automatically goes to that. Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah, Jen and I have shown way worse and said way worse on our show and never gotten restricted.
Okay, I just know it can fuck up. If you get revenue from ads.
Oh, we don't get shit. We don't have enough subscribers. I got 278, got 1,000 subscribers to be able to get money, and 40,000 minutes watched, which I have.
So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, like and subscribe and comment below.
Yes, we are.
Send us your cats.
Send us your cats.
And I could share the 20 cents we'll probably get from ad revenue between us. That's whole 5 cents each.
That's not how you make money, Dan. That's a bad business plan.
YouTube is a bad business plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have like 10 million subscribers, which there are some people who do, and they actually make money off of it. Or just get a Patreon and just
OnlyFans.
Yeah. And literally, you can literally make.
No one wants to see me on OnlyFans.
$20. You can do an OnlyFans where you just show pictures of Dr. Manhattan and maybe I don't know, some Magneto.
Yes.
just
That'll be my
John Constantine Swamp Thing tattoo on his ass.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Got some drag racers.
I do. I literally live right next to like kind of a highway, and where the entrance of the highway is. So yeah, in case you like highways, Sid, come and live next to the highway. But yeah, there's like a so yeah, people just go really fast next to me. But yeah.
So they talk about the still suit and how if you have a properly installed still suit. Tripping over my own words. You can only lose a thimble of water.
A thimbleful.
Yes.
But only if it's fitted like extremely properly, and most of the water leaves from your hands. So if you end up getting gloves, but most of them are just like, fuck it. That was one of the interesting
moments. Rub that plant on them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the interesting moments that I remember in that was something about how they don't wear that because they like to do the leaves. But then when all of the men came onto the ship after they got saved, Paul noted, he was like, I need to make sure to tell them that they need to change how they wear their suits because they're getting sloppy. And if they're getting sloppy with this, they're going to get sloppy with other stuff. So I thought that was just like a weird little nod.
He's so like strangely adult.
Yeah.
In ways like that.
They mentioned that too during it. We're like, and the Duke has his like moment of, that's my son.
And he smiled. It was like the Duke was like, ha ha ha, it sucks that you said that, or whatever he says. That's basically what he said. Yeah. And then it was like, and he smiled. I was like, Paul's a little shit. I kind of don't like him, but I think that's the point.
Paul, like, noticing, he's like, my dad's pressuring him a bit too much. Like, he needs to back off Kynes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Paul's just too much. I get really annoyed, and this is, I don't think, the fault of Dune per se, as it is the fault of, like, everything that Dune has inspired. But, like, I just feel so annoyed by, like, he could just do everything. He just knows because he's supposed to. Like, I understand that, like, that is a personal, like, weird, like, I hate stories like that now. I used, like, if I read this maybe, like, 5 years ago, I'm sure I would have, like, been groveling, like, at my feet for, like, Paul, but I'm just like, boy, shut up.
they talk again about his sour mood.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in my head, immediately, I pictured Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3 with the...
That's very accurate. Very emo. I love it.
Also, I did the research. 21 times Terrible Purpose is mentioned in this novel.
Ooh.
That's not so many, actually. Which
works into Cidnya's theory of threes.
Threes, because that's 7. Ooh.
I'm telling you. I'm on to something.
Maybe there's like 21 Horcruxes or something in Dune.
I was about to go into something from God Emperor, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
God Emperor.
Yeah.
And I rewatched some of our episodes. I'm like, I refer to God Emperor way too much. Like, I really do, and maybe because I've read it recently.
Yeah.
I did my 4,000-year journey.
Yeah, and it is really hard to have
Miles Tegg's Heretics.
The ongoing. What?
Miles Tegg's Heretics of Dune. You were right.
I do love Miles Tag. But see, that's another thing. Like, why did I bring that up? It's difficult to like have knowledge of the ongoing plot of Dune without relating it to
we're discussing the golden path.
That dang old golden path. Man.
Siona.
Yeah. Speaking of like God and stuff like that, I thought it was really interesting when they were talking to Kynes and about like the water and like the Harkonnen like propaganda and stuff like that. That like Kynes like shot a hard stare at the Duke, and he says Arrakis could be an Eden if its rulers would look up from grubbing for spice. And it was like just that one little mention of like this place isn't as terrible as people say. Like you just need to stop like pining over and mining for a resource. And I really like that kind of nod to like how imperialism and colonialism will like suck a place dry to the point that like it can no longer achieve what it could have been, which is obviously like an issue of like overtaken planets like in sci-fi, but like a really giant real world issue like historically of like colonies going into other spaces and taking resources and then leaving that place high and dry, and then it can no longer like adapt and not so civilized isn't the word, but it can no longer like progress to its natural point of like what's the word?
Like success, right? Like,
yeah, of success. That it is now hindered. Like it essentially has like a broken leg, and I really like that.
Which that's exactly, talking about like real world events, that's actually a lot of stuff that's happening here in like California and the Pacific Northwest is because for thousands of years, Native people took care of the ground, they took care of the plants, and they took care of the forest in a way where massive wildfires like this didn't happen because there was like native ways of taking care of the land. And now that land has been taken away from them, we've got shit like massive wildfires that, burn down the entire fucking country.
Yeah. Because that native knowledge is lost to us as like the colonizers.
We also get the prayer to the maker.
Nice segue there, Dan.
Yeah, good change of topic.
Yeah.
So I was just reading a message from somebody who recommended a movie to Jen and I. He just sent it on Instagram saying that he was apologizing for recommending the movie to us because we hated it so much.
Oh my god! Wait,
that reminds me. I have a bone to pick with Cidnya about
what
the
did I
lighthouse.
Do? Oh no, you had to pick it with me and Jen. Me and Jen. That's not just a me thing.
Anyone that participated in recommending me to watch that movie is on my shit list.
I think we all three recommended it.
Here's the thing, though. You had to do the Jennifer method where you watched it stoned for the first half and then like fell asleep and couldn't watch it and then just pick it up stone cold sober the second half.
I don't know if that would have improved the experience. It probably would have, because I watched it on a plane.
I think that would have been the worst way to watch that movie.
So there were a couple points where I was like, who is behind me that can see that I'm watching this movie on a plane? But there was no one behind me because no one's traveling.
It was the mermaid cloaca.
The mermaid puss.
Or him furiously masturbating while beating a bird to death.
Yeah, there was like a lot of masturbation. I mean, I guess there wasn't a lot, but for
there's
like
enough
film,
yeah, more
than
most people would have liked.
I think discussing it was more fun than the movie was.
Yeah.
I loved the movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
What what was the point of any of that? I don't understand it.
They're just two dudes chilling in a lighthouse because they're not crazy.
Or is one of them a figment of the other one's imagination and it's some weird ass allegory for some dream bullshit?
Tune in on Halloween for Lighthouse Cast.
Yeah.
My favorite part, I know we're here talking about Dune, but I do just want to go ahead and say, like, one, my favorite part was obviously the like furiously masturbating about mermaid puss, like hands down one of the best things. Second part,
relatable.
yeah, that mermaid puss though. But my other favorite part was whenever they're yelling at each other and he's like, "You farts, you goddamn farts," and they're talking like, I don't know, it's like that's gold.
Didn't he also act like a dog for a period of time?
Yeah.
And crawl around and yip and yap.
Yeah.
And there was that part where he was watching the guy up on like where the light is, and there was just a lot of mysterious viscous fluid dripping down and questionable grunts and groans. I don't understand like the strange sexuality of this movie. I'm not opposed to it. I just
join us for the Crow this weekend.
Yeah.
Will Jen and I talk about the soundtrack more than the actual movie? Who knows?
I really have to get that off my chest.
We're talking about.
I'll never forgive any of you. Okay, move on.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
It's part of your golden path.
You're all done.
It's part of your golden path before you come here and then watch way worse movies.
Friendships are already over, all of them. I'm just here for the book.
Well then. Bless the maker and his water. Bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world. May he keep the world for his people.
So does he not just kind of show his hand with this? Like,
yes, very much.
In a very crowded thopter. Like they are man to man in there.
And he zones out. He's just like
man to man. So I think that the real message of it was that he doesn't have two loyalties. Like he's not loyal to the Fremen and loyal to the Duke. He is loyal to the fucking sandworm, and that's it.
Yeah.
To the maker. That's it. He wants to ride that sandworm.
Like SpongeBob and Sandy.
Yeah.
Now all I hear is that stupid R&B song, Pony. My genuine ride that pony.
Ride my pony.
Sandworm.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what he wants to do.
I think the idea of religion is so interesting in Dune because like we're getting like little bits and snippets because like obviously like Kynes makes more references to like this general prophecy about like Paul being like their Messiah and like the aspects of the prophecy Paul fits into, and like Kynes is like praying in this like while like everyone is super close, and Duke's like, what are you saying? And like he's just like, I'm not responding to you because I don't have to, because I don't need to, which is like pretty badass energy, not gonna lie. Like I liked that a lot. I like that it was noted that he just like didn't respond to Duke. And but it's now we've like seen it become like personalized within like someone, you know, where it's like they actually talk about like the maker and like we don't get to see like a very like this is what it means to me kind of thing, but it's acknowledged, and I'm interested in seeing where that like thread kind of goes as we dive more into Dune.
I think
Paul noticing the Fremen, that what he thinks are Fremen, they look like they're gliding on the sand.
Cidnya, to your point about the like religious aspects of this, I think for me, and maybe this is just my like atheist perspective on it, is that the religion is manufactured. Like it is put there to control the people. And maybe like, you know, once again, that's just me and my view on like what Christianity or what organized religion does to the masses. But like all of those prophecies were put there specifically in place to control the people so that when the time comes, it's there. So it's not really like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's there by design.
And it always helps the Bene Gesserit.
I wouldn't necessarily say like, you know, yeah, 100. So like, because it was specifically put there, the Bene Gesserit went to planets to like put this little seed on so many different planets. And they did it on Dune as well. And that's why you have people like the shout out Mapes, because she's going to like, she's enacting some of those things that were put there. So like my perspective is that religion is manufactured.
I think if I can comment on that, I think you're absolutely right, because the Missionaria Protectiva, right? Like, that's it. But I would say there is also an aspect of this that is like purely Fremen and like purely native, because like nobody knows about the Maker, you know, like they're the only ones that call the worm the Maker, and like have that belief in like Shai Hulud. So I think it's like an interplay between like their native kind of, we'll say, natural religion involving the worm that no one outside of Fremen culture is even aware of. And then like the Missionary Protectiva just being very effective in the way that all of the Bene Gesserit manipulations are, being able to kind of fit into that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. I meant about like the interpersonal relationship people with like their sense of like culture, like cultural religion, as opposed to like the outskirts of like the religious political sphere that is like manufactured by the Bene Gesserit. Because like those are two different ideas completely, even though they like intersect at like the prophecy that includes Paul. So it's like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. They all kind of dive in right back to Paul.
One of my favorite quotes from a book is from this pagan author. Her name is Starhawk, and I forget which book it is. Maybe The Fifth Sacred Place, something like that. But the quote goes, and this is me paraphrasing it, but it's something along the lines of, when your like religious beliefs don't come from a book, but from what you observe in nature, there is no conflict between science and religion. And I feel like that kind of illustrates your point to like the Fremen beliefs, is that their beliefs don't come from a book, even though there may be some like, you know, missionary protectiva, but all of their like religion for the most part are from natural stuff that they observe.
Yeah.
Here's some Kynes drop in some what I guess would be Fremen kind of beliefs, where Paul's like, terrible place for them to die, and Kynes was like, not even turning around, go, when God hath ordained a creature to die in a particular place, he causeth that creature's wants to direct him to that place.
I highlighted that part.
Oh, my Duke.
No, that was lit Kynes.
I know, but it's applicable.
But he was like, the Duke was concerned more over the men than he was over the spice. He risked his own life and that of his son to save the men. He passed off the loss of the spice crawler with a gesture. The threat to men's lives had him in a rage. A leader such as that would command fanatic loyalty. He would be difficult to defeat.
I hate to admit, but I like this Duke Leto. I love how he ends
Duke.
Yeah, like more than I'd like to admit.
Yes, begrudging affection.
There's like a frenemy type thing, frenemy. Layers and layers there. But I don't know, there's like a little subtle bromance between the two.
I feel like that's just the Duke with any man that isn't like,
you're both
right. That isn't like innately like his enemy.
I mean,
it's true.
Those hawk-like features.
It's just like that checks out.
Yeah. This tracks is what I'm saying. Yes.
Speaking of the Duke, I thought it was really interesting that we're seeing an elevated, like, he's speaking about Paul and like his life in like a past tense, and he like comes to realize this, and he's like, oh no, I'm thinking the bad thing again, and he's like, oh no, I'm thinking it still, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
It's like, because when the next chapter is the dinner table stuff, and like he like notices that like Paul is standing with like an air of like nobility, and that it seems very fitting for him, and like he'll inherit that like his title like well, and he's like, oh man, like why am I thinking that?
And even his mom is like recognizing that in him, because she like later on in the dinner party, whenever it gets interrupted and the Duke has to like go away because of like a security issue, and like they both recognize the training in one another. She's like, oh, he recognized in the Duke's message that he was saying this, like, and he's recognizing it in her. So it's I think that this is going to be that internal thoughts of all the characters, like, oh, I'm observing this, and you know, this is my thought here. I think that's going to be really interesting to play out in the movie if we get the movie.
I highlighted this. Him going, I'm getting old, he thought. I felt the cold hand of my mortality, and in what? An old woman's greed?
He's frustrated. And I'd also
They
like
say
to
it a
point
lot.
out, yeah, and
He's desperate.
We don't know when he last slept. Nobody knows when he last slept. He arguably hasn't slept in weeks. He's just popping those anti-fatigue tablets and just trying to act like he's got everything together. And he is but a man.
And he got pissed by them throwing the water down with the towels.
Yes, he did. Rightfully so.
Yeah, it was like interesting because like the Princess Aurelian like intro, like it literally starts off with saying like greatness is a transitory experience and it's never consistent, and it ends with saying like with that the sardonic that permits him to move within himself. Without this quality, even occasional greatness will destroy a man. And I it's so embodying of like human folly and about pride and about like doing what you think is good in the name of like greatness and glory. And I'm just like, this Princess Aurelian, what are you on, girl?
She's popping all those anti-fatigue pills, just writing all this shit.
You leave her the hell alone.
Yeah.
There's a line in that I do love. The person who experiences greatness must have a feeling for the myth he is in.
Mm-hmm.
That line just like popped for me.
Yeah, well, I feel like it embodies like the idea that like Duke understands that he is two different people and that he wishes and chooses that he could just like be with his family and be happy, but this is his role and this is what he has to give to Paul, and he's aware of like what he needs to do, he's aware of what he wants to do, and he's aware of how other people perceive him, and he's constantly at odds with all of these different like the myth of himself that he's selling to other people and like everything else. It's just like, I don't know, it's a lot.
You know, Erlon, like probably after every one of these little intros is like closes her future laptop, slams some rosé, and goes, I fucking nailed it.
Could you imagine like if it was like Sex in the City, like she's just like Carrie Bradshaw, like what's a modern dating girl to do, and like does her little like sex column. Could you imagine like the sex columns of Irulan? Like I'm here for that content. And
I'm gonna become someone's not wife.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try and poison his. Never mind.
One of the things
my Bene Gesserit training.
One of the like heartbreaking, to your point, Cidnya, one of the heartbreaking things about what the Duke is going through too is that his relationship with Lady Jessica, and that he like would totally just run off with her and get married to her if he could, but he has to like not only he has to give these other houses hope that they can marry him, but in this chapter specifically at the like dinner, he's very aware that he has to make it look like him and her are fighting, like there's tension between them. So he can't even tell her that, like, so he has to do all these things to just
she wore the warm colors to get at him.
And he knows that she just wore that sexy fucking dress just to like
like it was yellow or something.
It was like amber, like it looked like the warm colors,
Her bronze hair.
Total Duke tease there.
They reference his dad in that bull quite a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Thafir and Gurney served under the old Duke.
Yeah.
So,
but talking for that moment of him turning around, playing to the crowd with the the matador cape over his shoulder.
That's in the next chapter, though.
Is it? I thought it was in this one. Oh,
I swear. Well,
I didn't read anything.
I think that's when. I think it's when Thafir and Jessica are going at each other, and Thafir says, "She's the bull, and I'm the man."
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or the other way around. Yeah, he says it the other way around because he thinks he's the bull in this situation, and he's quite wrong.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, actually, that this chapter, the dinner scene, is when I distinctly realized that I'm like getting accustomed to Frank's writing because we get frequent character shifts, and it felt really seamless until I just realized that like I was like, wait, I just knew what like Duke was thinking, and now I know what Jessica's thinking, but now I know what Paul's thinking, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, it's all coming together because we're inching towards the halfway point, and most people tell me that once you hit like halfway, that's when everything starts to like
the Duke's toast.
That was a like awkward moment. There,
yeah, where even Paul and Jessica are like, uh-oh.
You guys, can you stop bullying my Duke? He hasn't slept in like 3 weeks.
And I can't remember who makes the comment,
Give
but
him a
like
break.
someone's like, maybe he thinks it. He's like, they all think that I'm drunk.
It's Jessica. She's like, fuck, they think he's
drunk.
And
then she's like, he's desperate. Liet Kynes and the smuggler are like the heroes of that dinner because like they're both just kind of fucking with people, and the smugglers just did like the haha laughs.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of that anti-capitalist sentiment in this chapter because the banker doesn't even have a name. Like we don't really even know like who the banker is, and that he's trying to play a game. And that moment where Paul calls him out on the birds eating or like drinking the blood, and he's like, "So are you saying that they're cannibals?" Because that moment was specifically designed because the woman says something to spark him saying something about Susuk.
And then the people drowning.
And then, and so then like there's specific nods to things like that. And then like Paul ends up calling him out on that and being like, so wait, what are you saying? Because he only wanted to have that one little conversation to say something, and Paul just blew it out of the water.
Yeah, he decided to bulldoze it.
Even Lady Jessica is like, Susuk, what a stupid fucking nickname.
Yeah.
Well, and when the banker like gets mad at Paul, and the Duke goes, "Do not make the error of considering my son a child."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And maybe this is further on, but then whenever the Duke leaves, but they make that comment about the garment and it being cut. And then even the word garment is supposed to mean like basically grab
She's got
your
the Chris
weapon.
knife.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I wanted to bring up.
Strapped, that lady. I loved it.
What did you love?
Oh, Lady Jessica's strapped.
Oh, she is strapped, isn't she?
You know she's always doing that thing.
She notices the still suit maker's daughter, like she's there basically to seduce Paul.
Yeah.
With sex. Yeah. As if like the worst thing that could happen to Paul is like to do it.
We need to get that boy laid.
He'd get emo over it. He'd be like, man. Like,
just the way that it was written was a very like, and I was like, this is kind of like tonally a little strange.
What was the point that you wanted to bring up about the...
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this was on the BDE list, but it was just also something that I wanted to bring up as part of the chapters that we read. It's the first time you really see the Atreides, like the code words that they use in spoken and written language that have different meaning for members of the family, and the Atreides hand signals, which I think are the coolest things in the entire world.
Yeah.
Like with like like a flick or like a finger flick or something that you wouldn't even notice as like a movement, definitely not as any kind of communication. They can like tell the guards in the room to do a specific thing, or like tell Jessica like not to worry about whatever, or like tell Paul to do something literally by just being like
I'm trying to find that one mention about the garment and how like, man, what was that?
I remember it actually. It's at the dinner party, and it's after Paul starts shit with the banker, and she's like, "My son brings out like a common garment, and you accuse us of it being like cut to fit you."
Yep, my son displays a general garment, and you claim it's a cut to your fit. What a fascinating revelation! And then she slides a hand down to her leg to the Chris knife, and then like at the end, she says he had focused on the code word garment, prepare for violence. Love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because she thought we must learn this Harkonnen creature's game. If he's here to try for Paul, does he have help? And Kynes makes that one Bates and Atreides at his own risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So, and then there was also the code words in the Duke's announcement when he left the dinner party. So he made this like whole announcement for everyone, but like the truth of it was like hidden in those words. That's just so badass.
Like,
Yeah,
what
and
was
then
it? Guard something, guard safety shortly.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then
it's in
they knew that there hadn't been a violent problem. It was like a security problem, so that they could like relax,
Yeah,
and not worry about the Duke. So cool.
Also, there's Jessica's thinking of where Kynes leads, people follow. He has told us he sides with Paul. What's the secret of his power? It can't be because he's judge of the change. That's temporary, and certainly not because he's a civil servant.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's right. She just doesn't have all of it yet.
and then so the last chapter that we read is just this really tense moment between Lady Jessica and Thufir Hawat.
Yeah,
Can I make one mention real quick?
Because Duncan got drunk.
We passed over something very important. How our bard, the lump of a man, Gurney, played some songs for the crowd. Yes. I just need to reemphasize that he's a bard, Jen.
So they called him before a troubadour warrior, and I think in the chapter with the Thopter, they called him a minstrel warrior.
Yeah.
Cool names.
Yeah.
Bard.
Either way, he's a bard. Yeah.
Yes.
Jen disagrees, and that's
I
fair.
just don't. It's because I just don't like bards, and I respect him more than I respect bards. So.
I know so many D&D players that would take so much offense to that.
What if his subclass is a rogue?
Like mainline bards, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Sing
there
me
is
a
no
song
escape.
about it.
There is no escape. We pay for the violence of our ancestors.
Ooh, yep.
Yeah,
Princess Irulan sending it home.
It's so foreboding. It's so tonally like stark against like what you read in the chapter, because it's like alludes to like backstabbing and like human fault and paying for the sins of the father and like sleeping in like the grave that you dig, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah, truly, like the I don't know, the batter is like really being whisked right here for like the cake that's about to bake in this book.
Yeah, ooh, that's a
Horrible.
good.
And it's a cake with some drunken Idaho.
Oh yeah, Drunken Idaho.
Drunk Idaho was so funny.
My favorite thing about that is that it really doesn't matter. Like there was no reason for that except that like Jessica needed for plot reasons to find out that Thufir thought this about her. So they're like, Duncan gets drunk. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's just like, all right, fuck that. Let's do this.
Here's all the cards out on the table.
Yeah.
She's like so disgusted that he got drunk that he like slaps him.
I think she just wanted to, because he's been following her around and she knows he's spying on her.
Yeah.
Because he spies on the ladies. That's his gig.
He is so good with the ladies, that Duncan.
Yeah. He had to walk a girl home and get drunk.
Hey, he was under orders.
Yeah. I mean, got to do what you got to do.
Fuck boy under orders.
Ooh.
Fuck boy in charge. FBIC.
He's just following the chain of command.
How many servings?
Of Duncan, 4,000. Give or take.
Yeah.
So we had the chapter with the crawler. We learned about the worm, Kynes. We got to see the Duke fly a thopter, save some men, be generally badass. And then we had the chapter with the dinner, which was
the most awkward dinner ever, where people are like pulling knives. We're getting ready to that Chris knife. If it got taken out, Jessica had to cleanse somebody.
What was it from the earlier chapter? It was like feints within feints. within faints or whatever. It was one of those.
It was like plans within plans within plans, something
Yeah.
like that.
Maybe that's not what I mean.
It was the circles. It was like all these things, like basically like the Duke's talking about how there's plans that have within plans, and then he's like, well, I have to feint this. So it was kind of like him saying, I'm responding, but I'm not showing my response.
Yeah, so then this is very much like that, because every person at that dinner table is there with like their own purpose, you know, like their own secret reason for participating in this.
Their own like motive or their own end game.
The water dealer's there because he wants to be a noble, basically.
Yeah.
Wow. Tough luck, Susu.
Oh God, Susu.
Susu.
The banker also, like, you just wanted to reach across and just smack him.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I picture him looking like John Lovitz.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, me either.
Did you ever remember that cartoon, The Critic?
No.
No.
High five, Cidnya.
Oh, wait, no, it's this way.
Go.
Anyway, he's a small, nebbish, trollish man.
Trollish man.
Yes.
Mm.
Been balding for the last 30 years. Kind of looks the same, but chubby, kind of just short. I'm trying to think of a modern one that you might know the reference of, but anyway.
No, Duke. Yeah, I have no interest in such men. So then, after the dinner party, we got the chapter with drunken Idaho and angry Jessica and angry Thufir.
And they're both casting aspersions at each other.
I can't.
There's a reflection.
He reminds me of like I don't want to say better looking, but like Ron Jeremy.
Oh, okay. I do know who that guy is.
Yeah. That's what I pictured the banker looking like.
Yeah, he does look like a guild banker.
Now I just think of the banker as Ron Jeremy.
Okay.
You mean the one that's been accused of rape 30 times now and is in jail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he's on course to be our president, right? That's how that works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would be an improvement or not.
It's the campaign trail now.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oof. I can't tell if that's
Yay.
phrasing or not. So Jessica and Thufir are like going at it.
Mm-hmm.
Not in that way. They're Thufir's like, that drunken fool of an Idaho.
He's drinking too much spice beer.
I mean,
some strong spice beer. I'd like to have some.
Who can blame him?
Yeah.
And he's playing the game of, oh, what troubles my lady?
But yeah, he does end up like thoroughly terrified of her.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, her Bene Gesserit side coming out, doing all that cool stuff, and he's like, you guys are this powerful, like, why don't you? And then her being like, no, we only exist to serve. I was like, but you could be so much cooler.
But they don't want to show how powerful they are because they probably hunt them down.
But and she says that she's like, if I wanted to, I could we could destroy every fucking house here. Like, you don't understand. We do have that power.
And again, her emotions get out of control, which is like the Bene Gesserit do not
do that. Yeah, and she even mentions it. I don't know. I'm a very big fan of like, don't you want to go apeshit? You should do it. I want to see it. I want to see what happens. Like, what if? Like an alternate timeline.
Is this the first?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Is this the first chapter where we find out that she's pregnant, or did we find out before this?
That's what I was about to mention.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is an offshoot.
So she just has that feral pregnant energy.
There's an offshoot in another like book far, far off of these like wild Bene Gesserits that are out there called the Honored Matres. Mm-hmm. That basically they're like, they dress in kink leather and they're like have no problems unleashing wildness.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm here for. That's what I need.
Yes.
But
100%.
as far as this pregnancy goes, also,
We
stay
also,
tuned.
yes,
Yeah, she says that she's with daughter and that she hasn't even told the Duke about it.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
And she thinks for a moment. She's like, should I just tell him? And then she's like, nope, not gonna do it. Like, that's one of my cards that I have to play.
I already gave him a boy that got me in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting a girl this time, whether he likes it or not.
This woman is reckless with her childbearing.
Yes.
Inopportune timing on her end.
I just like how he's like, you dare insult me so? Sit down, you insulted me. Like, they're just like going back.
Bitch, you started it.
Like, it just was missing like a backhand and some red wine. Look what you made me do. Look what you.
But so yeah, they like, as tense as that was, and as much as Saphir ended up like legitimately terrified of Jessica after she used the voice on him, and he's like a mentat with like years and years of experience. It did still end in a bit of a stalemate between them. You know, like she was like, "Will you let this go?" And he was like, "If it proves to be false."
And he's got like the poison darts in his tunic ready to go. Like,
he wouldn't dare.
She's got her hand on her crysknife too, on top of her mind control freakiness.
I like right when she wakes up, she straps up, grabs that crysknife, and if that crysknife gets unsheathed.
Speaking of stalemates, I could have sworn that they said it like at least 3 times amongst each other, and I really liked the pacing of the tension between Thufir and Jessica, where they're like, well, I am very powerful. And he's like, yes, which is why it would make sense if the Harkonnens like got you to be like what becomes like to use you as like a weapon. And she was like, but why would I do that? And they're like, checkmate. It's like mental chess that they were playing with one another. And I really liked reading the dialogue exchange. It was very fun for me.
Yeah, but he's like, you're deliberately attempting to undermine my faith and my abilities as a mentat.
And she's just like, what if they're just trying to divide us? It reminded me a lot of in Game of Thrones when they are talking, when something happens and God, she just passed away. I forget her name now because
Diana Rigg?
Lady
Olenna.
Yeah, when like something happens and they're like, "Oh my God, did you know this?" And she was like, "Yeah, like tell him that it was me." It was like very much like that energy, and I was living for it.
There was also like where he's like, "You're Bene Gesserit." She's like, "Say it, Bene Gesserit witch."
Yeah, yep. Like say it.
Do it, Anakin.
She's like, you listen respectfully in council, but you seldom heed my advice. Like, she's literally just like, bitch, you get like years of like, you don't respect me.
Well, I mean, it is a bit surprising to me to know that despite being in the same household for so long, and despite Thufir being a mentat, like, I would think mentats would have at least a general knowledge of like Bene Gesserit abilities. But like he was really thrown by the voice. Like he was like, "What the?"
They don't exhibit it, at least not in front of other people very often, because like it was just Paul and her in that room when they did the Gom Jabbar.
It seems like people know the Bene Gesserit as like they provide ladies for the great houses, and some of them have truth sense, but not all of them. I feel like that's common knowledge. Like
the truth-sayers.
Yeah, the Emperor's truth-sayer, for example. And like Yue's wife, he's mentioned, had the truth sense, I think.
Yes, and they talked about it can't be him because he hates the Harkonnens more than anybody.
He has the Imperial conditioning.
And we find out why, because his wife was slain by a Harkonnen, if I remember correctly.
That is what Jessica hath said.
Yes.
Or that's what is, okay. true, as was provided to us. We have not heard him say anything
And the Duke and
about it.
I are father and mother surrogates to our people. He hasn't married you. He's real quick on that shit.
Little fucking bitch ass, the fear
Yeah.
whore.
Mhm. Yeah. Like,
You're just a woman we bought. He didn't say that, but I'm
Oh
sure
my
he's
God.
thinking it.
it was such an interesting fight because he just kept saying, like, you need to fix this. Like, you need to figure out who amongst us is a traitor. And he's like, but what if you are? And she was like, what the fuck do you not understand? Like, why would I be that? Are you kidding me right now?
She
'Cause, like,
literally was about to cross her arms and go, put some respect on my name.
yeah, like, it was so funny here. Where was the thingy? Where, like, okay, so the dialogue exchange is like, you accuse me of whispering baseless suspicions. Baseless, yes. You'd meet this with your own whispers. And Jessica's like, your life is compounded of whispers, not mine, Thufir. And I was like, oh,
Ooh.
she went there.
She pitched him out so much his throat got dry. Because he says that she's like, I have not dismissed you, Thufir. And he's like, fell back into his chair and like she smiled without mirth. And he was just like trying to swallow with the dry throat.
She scared the bejesus out of him.
And the line I love, you've glimpsed the fist within the Bene Gesserit glove.
Oof.
Glimpsed.
Yes.
Mhm.
Few glimpse it and live.
Not a glimpse.
Mhm.
I can't wait for Jessica to come into her power throughout the
I'm
rest
excited to see it.
Yeah.
And
with such,
oh no, you go. Sorry, I have so much to say. I'm
oh,
sorry.
but with such power, she's like, power's a two-edged sword. How easy
Mhm.
for her to shape a human tool to thrust into an enemy's vitals. Just, she's got some big V energy.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that, like, later on, like, when he, like, goes to, like, reach for his poison darts, he's like, she wears no shield, he thought, and then continues to say, is this just a brag she makes? Where he's contemplating, okay, I kill her now, and he was like, but she doesn't have any protective gear. Does that mean that she knows that I can't kill her? Like,
He's like,
he,
could
like,
I?
yeah, he's like psyching himself out now. He's like, wait a second.
I was not prepared for this.
I started thinking, I was like, if he did kill her, what would the Duke's reaction be? Would he kick him out?
Ooh. More than that.
I feel like it would be another situation like what happened with Paul, where the fear would do that and then like offer himself up to the Duke.
Yeah, it's hard to say because, like, you know, the Duke does love her. He talks about wanting to make her his bride.
Yeah.
But would he be like, well, if the fear killed her, he must have had a good reason?
No, I mean, he said that he would sooner distrust himself than distrust Jessica. And when he told Paul that, even Paul was like, yeah, more likely it would be me than mom. Like, no one even for a moment thinks that Jessica's actually capable of being a traitor to her Duke.
Paul in his mind going, is that my terrible purpose? Am I going to kill my mom?
Nah.
I have such great and terrible purposes. I just don't know which one's which.
Just
it's like
hold out, little buddy.
really funny to me is that, like, Thufir is like learning that, like, Jessica's crazy powerful and she's super smart and she's cunning and has a very pointed tongue.
Riposte.
And, like,
They say that a lot.
Yeah, and she nags on herself for, like, bragging about her abilities, and, like, she says, like, why do I let pride drive such words out of me? This is not the way I was trained. This is not how I must shock him. And it's like, it makes sense to me that the way that the Bene Gesserit, like, operate, that they aren't to do that, but, like, she's so aware of her capabilities and her power that she still is, like, shamed by her abilities. So, like, she, like, purposefully is stifling herself for, like, the bigger cause, and I am like, I hate to see it. I'm like, you're so powerful.
Pretty much, they like hiding in the shadows, basically, so they don't want to reveal too much about themselves. You know, like their secret breeding program. these religions they've placed all over the universe. Like it's crazy, like how behind the scenes they are. And, people are scared. They call them witches.
Mm-hmm.
But, they seem manipulative and maybe a little bit malevolent, but people don't know, like, they can,
the half of it. Yeah.
have the voice. Which, as the Reverend Mother said, he knows the way, but does he know the voice? Why don't you, spice it up a little bit and change the path?
We got to kick it up a notch.
Got to get Emerald. Was it the guy? Was it Emerald or Fired Up?
I don't know. I just think of that guy from Futurama.
Oh yeah. I can't remember now. Anywho, it's been a while since I watched Futurama.
I watched it last night.
I love Futurama.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do because you have it tattooed on your feet.
Anyway, that's another tangent. So
that's what we do.
The next chapter contains my other favorite Dune quote. Can't wait for you to read it, Cidnya.
So I have, if this is what I think it is, this chapter, is this the...
Don't say anything, Dan.
No,
There's
no. There's a lot of characters that appear in this chapter. So would this be the community theater chapter?
No.
Okay.
There's not many characters in this chapter.
Okay, because I know one of them we have a bunch of characters pop up.
Yes, it's not this next chapter. I believe it's following, or even following that. But so, the batter's been whisked and it is now going into the oven.
Yeah, the stakes. This chapter leaves the stakes particularly high.
So we have no choice but to finish this book.
So it'd be 322, I think.
For our next
I was just about to say.
You can't begin this arc and not finish it, in my opinion. I feel
it's 322. 324.
We would just read past it anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's vital that we reach.
So it's 256 to 324.
Okay, yeah. That's not too bad at all.
No.
That's a little less than 100 pages.
I mean, the flavor text to start this chapter alone is just the first line. Do you wrestle with dreams? Do you contend with shadows?
And I never noticed before that that's about Jamis.
Yes.
What? There's so many...
Totally out of context.
Yeah.
And Jamis is part of one of the worst fucking speeches I've ever heard on film and in book. And we'll get to that event. Oh, Paul's.
It's in the next book, though.
Yes. It's cringeworthy. It's fucking cringeworthy.
Well, that's what I meant about, I didn't think that the reading was so particularly meaty because I read through it and I was just I want to know more. I was like, where does this go? Frank has, I don't know what clicked within, I don't know where it happened, where, it made sense, but I was I'm kind of getting, a rhythm and a feel for, the pacing and the tension writing and the character development, and, I'm kind of understanding
the terminology more for a while that would take you out of the story, too.
Yeah, so, I was where is this going? I need to know.
So this next section we're about to read is where I told you guys before, the first time I read this book, I legitimately didn't like it until this part. And then it became something I wasn't enjoying to my favorite book.
Yep.
So that's where it clicked for me.
I will give a tease. There will be some Piter.
There will be some Piter. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Baron.
So, I was Googling pictures, and they had a collectible card game where they had a picture of Piter that someone painted, and it is hysterical looking. He has a Freddie Mercury mustache with this purple curly hair. It's kind of awesome.
Sure, yeah.
And a rapier.
Yeah, I mean, anything
You look like a pirate.
I feel will kind of work for Piter. I picture him bald, though.
In the David Lynch movie, he had a giant puffy eyebrows that were white. and a Dangerous Liaison's like puffed out wig that kind of looked like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Mm.
The one by Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah.
I feel like that's not like
everything else in David Lynch's Dune, like nonsense. Sorry, Cidnya.
Well, yeah, but I feel
I
like
haven't seen it, so I don't know.
I feel like Piter's so theatrical. Like,
I picture him wearing puffy like Renaissance pants.
High fashion.
Yeah.
There is one thing like in the movie, like I don't know why in the TV movie, the last one they came out with, whoever was doing the costume is like everybody needs to have big fucking hats.
Oh, well, I mean that's never a bad idea.
I loved the costume design in the second or in the sci-fi series show. Loved the costuming in that.
Did you like Paul's gi he wears?
Loved it.
And the kamikaze headband before the
loved it.
Really? Because that took me right out of it. I'm like, why is he wearing a gi and a kamikaze like headband before his big Chris knife duel?
Okay, so maybe everything but that, but maybe all of the okay, and maybe not the I feel like they did
the hats were insane.
The hats,
but like high hats.
I think that the costume design was asymmetrical because they spent a lot of money and thought on maybe a lot of the like females costumes, but then when it came to like the Fremen, they're like, let's just spray paint them camo.
And William Hurt, where I think his acting as the Duke was fine, he didn't look like the Duke.
Yeah.
He didn't have black hair. He had sandy blonde hair, and that's just not.
Boo!
Yeah, like
tall, dark, and handsome. Come on.
Okay, so
I have to do everything.
256 to 324. So basically, once you get to book 2, Muad'Dib, stop.
Okay.
We're finishing the first book.
That's we're moving really fast.
Yeah, for no fucking reason now because the movie's not fucking coming out.
Now we're going to go ahead and do Dune Messiah and Children of Dune.
Okay. I will accept that.
Cidnya might rage quit by then, so like let's not.
We'll see so far.
But I think like if you're hooked so far, I think you're in it to win it.
I think we're good to go. I think unless Paul like becomes insufferable in a non-interesting way. Like I don't mind reading insufferable characters if it's like there's like legitimate purpose and it's like interesting to like view them be like the worst. You know what I mean?
You'll start getting into the world of the Harkonnens pretty deep, and it's a journey.
All right.
Especially when the non-subtext coding starts coming into effect, and you're gonna stop going. Did he just say he wants to fuck his nephew?
Oof.
Yeah.
That's the yikes for me.
He starts making comments about his lithe body.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just skip over those parts. Those parts won't get comment.
Yeah, we'll just be like bad.
I hope to God it's not in the movie. Like, I don't need to see Stellan Skarsgård.
Nobody would make that bad of a decision for a Hollywood movie. I firmly believe.
Have you seen Sucker Punch?
No.
Oscar Isaac was in that one too.
Yes, as the guard who is raping women. It starts, middles, and ends with rape and lobotomy.
Yeah. Not a fun time.
I feel like that
beautifully shot movie.
Particular uncomfortable subject matter is somewhat prevalent in media, film for whatever reason.
For no reason, because it shouldn't.
For no reason. I was going to say that the patriarchy, I think, probably.
They turned it into a plot device.
But specifically, like lecherous pedophilia, I think is something that would not be so common, especially in a movie that's intended to be this big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the most overt pedophilia I ever saw in a movie was that really shitty horror movie Sleepaway Camp, which
I've never seen it.
It's on YouTube. Someone put the whole movie on there. It is so campy and bad, and for the 80s, it had a shocking ending where the killer had a penis.
The
Don't
cat
they all?
always has a penis. Yeah.
You're literally talking to like 3 women, and you're like, "Oh, you mean men are violent?"
Serial killers are
huh.
only white males.
Well, the whole thing, it was dressed as a little girl at a summer camp. And then at the end, she's holding someone's head and like naked with the dick hanging out.
I feel like
Classic.
you're trying to sell us this movie, and it's not working, Dan.
I'm not. I'm trying to explain like how like there was a cook there who was with
not being sold.
Earl Jones' dad working in there, and he was like, oh god, I can't. He had a term, but he was like lusting after the little kids, and like it was not. It was like overt and not like coded. Like it was just like, wait, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah, that's gonna be a no from me. 0
Yeah.
to 10.
Yeah, no.
Spice Girls, not interested.
Yeah, we're
Just a warning. Like if you see that movie,
no
like,
warning. If you're listening to this and then you're like, "Oh, that sounds like a good movie to me," I don't know what to tell you about.
There's people in the horror community that love that movie. I don't know.
Well, I think it's because in the horror community, I think that there are certain things that are classics, and people will always forgive their classics, just to hold on to them.
By the way, my Friday the 13th box set shipped. 6 pounds, so I'll be doing an unboxing video next week of it when I get it.
Very fun. Very
Hey
spicy.
friends.
Yes, it's that
I'm
time.
gonna go ahead and skip. I'm gonna go ahead and head out. I love you all, and I'll see you next.
I'm glad you were
Saturday.
here this weekend.
Thank you. Me too.
Yes,
Bye,
people were
friends.
commenting they missed you.
Aw. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we are reading a ton next week.
It's not a lot. Cidnya, my prediction for
It'll
this
go fast.
is, you're gonna probably read ahead because you're gonna be that enthralled by this part. That's my prediction.
No, I'm trying not to read ahead.
She's gonna finish and she's gonna end up messaging us and be like, "Guys, I'm not okay."
I read ahead today by like 3 chapters, so I had to keep like, putting myself in check to not talk about any of that.
I really wanted to read ahead because I had time to, and I was like, I could, and I was like, but I'm not. No, I'm not. And I was like, I could though. And I was like, no.
I was reading right when Sid texted me, fucking October.
Yeah, because I was reading it on the couch with my friend, and she was like looking at news on her phone or whatever, and she was like, "Oh no, the Dune movie!" And I was like, "What?" And she told me.
Oh boy. So thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be back next Monday, getting into the real drama of the story. We've had the political intrigue. Now we're getting into the plans within plans within plans and feints within feints within feints. All in threes.
Excited.
Me too. I'm so ready.
So happy to have with us back to add some spice. Sorry, I got distracted by something. So Saturday, Jen and I will be doing The Crow and our regular weekly comic book show. Thursday, Cidnya will be doing the not Lost Souls, Something is Killing the Children.
Oh yeah, actually tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Okay. No, wait, what's today? Today's Monday?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's Wednesday. I'm all messed up. I don't know what's going on. I don't even, Oops.
Time is an abstract concept.
Pandemic thing, like, you know.
It's not there.
I don't. And Sid, it's always great to have you on, and see you in Florida soon. Oh, Cidnya is gone.
Oh, bye, Cidnya. Okay, bye, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Take care, everybody. So long.
Fun as always. Bye.